Well, that video got some attention. I put trigger warning on the front. I knew it was going to be hard to watch, Mom. I debated sharing it, but I also want those who are walking this walk with their loved ones to see the bad, to see the hard, to see the painful. I want to be able to discuss it among ourselves. Although this one went so crazy so fast, I can't even keep up. There are 133 filtered comments. TikTok took those comments out for, I don't know, cursing, hate, aggressiveness. I have not even looked at them yet. Honestly, I just don't even know if I have the heart to look at it. I really don't need for people to be hateful and mean. So I thank TikTok for taking those where I don't have to look at them. There's still some in there, the ones like this who are basically just saying, take her home. It's not an option. I see a lot of you who've been on this journey with me from the beginning come in and tell them that it's not an option and give them reasons why. And yes, there are reasons why that it is not an option. So telling me to take her home is not helping me with this situation because I can't. I can't. I'd love to. I cannot. For many reasons. Dad cannot. For many reasons. He already cared for her for 11 years after a severe stroke, and the man had PTSD. He was in fight or flight. He could not handle it anymore, and at that point she developed dementia and began to walk the streets. The police got involved. There's just so much more here than meets the eye in what you're seeing in one little clip. Bringing her home is not an option. Like I realize, I do. It's such a mental journey to walk through the visuals of what you see with Mom. And it's tough. I'm telling you, when I walked in that day, oh my gosh, it's so tough. It's so hard. And you have to go through a certain set of thought processes to understand that many things that we see that look out of the ordinary, that they look awful, could very well have a reason. This comment is informative. I really hadn't even thought about them having to sit her up after a meal. That makes perfect sense to me. The table, I do find that a little bit of a red flag, and I want to discuss that because not being able to get that table out, I just thought was an accident, because I do know they lower her bed at all times when they're not in there, so that if she were to try to get out of the bed, she won't hurt herself. But if that has a secondary benefit for them and that it restrains Mom because she can't move the table, I don't like that at all. And so that needs to be addressed, and it actually has been addressed. So yeah, and the whole with Mom tilted, again, that it's awful, but she's done it in mere minutes when I've been there. So while I say neglect, when I shared this video, I actually know, and you'll see it in the next video, that Mom was kind of in the same spot the very next visit, which was the visit the day before the care plan meeting. And I wanted to make sure to have an accurate current assessment of Mom before I had that meeting. So I went back specifically to prepare for that meeting. And I walked in, and again, she was tilted to the side. And so, yes, I do think there is some neglect. I don't know exactly to what level. And you have varying comments from people who are caregivers, who have been in Memorycare before, who will tell me different scenarios. Some of them are understaffed. Some of it can be neglect, and some of it can be just that Mom kind of tilted and got in that position yet again. Yes, Mom was asking for help. She was not yelling for help, but she was raising her voice to be heard. I could hear her at the door. I could not hear her in the hall per se if I hadn't had stopped to be very quiet. So I'm not saying that they ignored that Mom was calling out for help, but they also don't have anybody that's ever there in that hall to possibly know if somebody in the memory care ward that's in their room needs help. And maybe that's something that could be changed that would be beneficial. Again, that would be somebody else they have to pay, and they're probably not going to do that. But yeah, like if they're both in that main area with the majority of the residents, and one of those residents is in their room, especially Mom has at least the benefit of being across from the main social room. If she were way down the hall, who would hear her? What is the fix for that? I don't know. I mean, they've had to have seen it and faced it before. So I really don't know. But yeah, I see a lot of comments. I've been trying to read them. There's no way I can read all of them. There's just too many on this particular video. Everything from flat out abuse and neglect to the workings from the perspective of somebody who has worked in a memory care unit. And it is enlightening to know that maybe it wasn't the level of neglect it appeared on first glance. I hope. I will tell you, and you'll see it more, that now that hospice is involved and after the care plan meeting, we no longer go there and Mom in her bed. Mom is in a wheelchair now. So there are definitely positive things that have happened, and I have communication with them, and I'm very hopeful. And we are actively working with the social worker at the hospice company, and we will be shopping for a new place for Mom as soon as we can get past Christmas. So stay tuned, guys. It's going to get better. And pray, just pray. We need all the prayer. We need all the favor, because still we can shop all we want, but if there's no bed, Mom can't go. So pray for favor. A camera. I don't think I want one. I'll be honest. Or at least I'm hesitant about getting one. I have seen these comments for a long, long time, and I have avoided this conversation because I don't want a camera. I can have one. I asked in the beginning, and I can have a camera. I have to provide my own Wi-Fi. Like, they won't let me utilize their Wi-Fi for the camera. And it's in the paperwork. He did send me that paperwork when I asked for it. I don't know what that entails to actually have a camera that has its ability to have its own Wi-Fi. I really never looked much farther because I am hesitant. I know, even if it's not abuse, I know what I will see will be painful to watch. A lot of times just watching them change Mom, like change her clothes, it's a little painful to watch. It reminds me of when you have a child and you watch those nurses clean that child and do all the things they have to do right after this brand new teeny tiny little baby comes into the world, and it looks aggressive. It looks mean. It looks like they're hurting the baby. But I've learned over time to respect that that's what they're doing. They're not hurting the baby. They're doing the things that need to be done that are actually in the best care of that baby. Same thing with Mom. I know that even if it's not abuse, what I'm going to see is going to kind of mess with my mind a little bit. So yeah, I've been hesitant. I've been very hesitant about it. Had I ever seen a bruise, I know we see a lot of bruises, but I'm talking about bruises in places that Mom didn't normally get bruises. Any kind of thing that would have made me worry that mom was being abused. Things maybe that happened more regularly, that I considered a red flag, then maybe I would have felt the need to add a camera and monitor what was going on. I mean, we can discuss it if you guys want to use this post and tell me why you think it's important. Tell me what product, what camera you think would work, given that I can't utilize their Wi-Fi. I'll consider it, but honestly, from the very beginning, I don't even know if I can fully explain why I am so hesitant to get that camera. So, help me. Let's talk. Just to put your mind at ease, they keep that Memorycare ward so warm, like incredibly warm. I know you guys see a sheet on mom sometimes and you wonder where her blanket is. She does not need it. I have thought about getting mom warmer, winter pajamas. She would be sweating down. Like, I think some of you have talked about a weighted blanket. Again, I think she would be sweating. It is so incredibly warm in that space. The last few times that I've wanted to bring mom down and she would be in just regular clothes, immediately one of the aides will say, does she have a jacket? Are you going outside? Like, they know that she would be cold given what she's wearing in the Memorycare unit, because it's kept so warm. They dress them much in much thinner clothing than you normally would think, because they keep it that warm. And I guess maybe it's because, given their mental state, they don't know to keep covered. They don't know what to do if they feel cold. They don't know how to process that anymore. So yeah, her feet, I promise you, her feet were not cold at all. I'm sweating when I'm there. Is it abuse? Is it abuse? I honestly don't think it's abuse. I think it's neglect. I think it's a possibility of neglect. I know it's hard to watch. I really do. I understand how hard that is to watch. I promise you it was hard to walk in on. I don't think it's abuse. And you can see in some of the comments others who also had explanation as to why mom was the way she was. Everything from still sitting up because it was right after lunch, table still in front of her. That one's a little iffy. And you see, this was before her care plan meeting. So I had her care plan meeting, I think 2-3 days after this. And so many things have changed. Mom is no longer just sitting in that bed all day. She's now in her chair like she should be. Hospice is calling me and visiting mom and helping me be an advocate. I've had some issues and they immediately went. So we're getting things fixed. Social services from hospice are working with me to find a new place for mom. So we are working on it. We are trying to get her in a better place. We are trying to make sure her care is where it needs to be. But I honestly, and I appreciate it. I do. I get it. I get how hard this was to watch. And I get that so many of you care for mom, and you know that warms my heart. I appreciate it so much. I'd love to have the perfect situation for mom, but I don't think this is abuse. I don't. Neglect, definitely debatable. We are in the neglect arena when it came. And I guess if you want to say that neglect is abuse, then I can see your justification for that. But no, I'm not pulling in the authorities. I'm not. But I am going to make some changes and hopefully get her out of there. That's my priority. Prayers. I'm asking for prayers. I think I did it in another video not long ago, but I am. Prayers for favor, because we got to find a bed. If there's no bed, we can't get her out of there.